Hey everybody, welcome to Live on Wednesdays. Today we're going to talk about inflammation and is all inflammation bad? Inflammation is normally talked about as being something that we don't want. I certainly don't want it, but there is something called acute inflammation and chronic inflammation. And it's not all bad. We do want some inflammation because it's our body's way of warning us that something is wrong. And that's where the acute inflammation comes into play. So for example, if you have cut your finger or you bumped yourself and you've gotten a bad bruise, it's going to start swelling up. It's going to start getting red and inflamed. And that's your body's way of saying, hey, come pay attention to this because this is not normal. But those are things that should be only on a short-term basis. And those are good things because when the body puts out these warnings, then it also sends white blood cells and other chemical messengers to that area to be able to help heal it and move it along through this stage of injury. So it's kind of like your car's dashboard. You know, you see there's different lights that will pop up and flash when something is wrong with your car. And you normally would pay attention to that and go to the root of what the problem is. You wouldn't just take out the light bulb or whatever. You have to, it's like telling you there's something wrong with your car, normally. Sometimes there's things that go wrong and lights will come on and there's nothing wrong. But on a normal running car, it's like a warning system for you. Now, of course, you might hear people say those are the idiot lights, so to speak, because by the time the light comes on, it's already progressed to a point where it's too late and you've got to just completely do a repair job on it. And that's the way chronic inflammation can be. Chronic inflammation is not so easy to pinpoint because it's acute situations that never go away, so to speak. They just stay around and stay around, which means the body is continuing to pump out the white blood cells and these chemical messengers to that area, and eventually it starts going out to the surrounding areas and attacking the surrounding areas for which there's nothing wrong with them because the body is constantly on this high alert and it doesn't know what else to do. And this just sort of gradually creeps up on people, this chronic inflammation. And that's the inflammation that is dangerous and the kind that we don't want. So what do we do about that? I mean, we're talking about things that have to do with like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, other autoimmune diseases. You know, these are things that fibromyalgia, that's certainly a state of chronic inflammation. So there are some things that can be done to help to manage this inflammation, but ultimately you have to go back and focus on lifestyle, diet, healthy weight, plenty of rest, exercising regularly. These are all things that help to manage, help you to not get to where that chronic inflammation state is, but also if you are there, to help you back it up and give your body a break from it. So that old saying that says too much of a good thing is probably not a good thing, it really applies to inflammation. We do want to have acute or short-term inflammation is good for those instances when the body has had a sudden injury or a sudden unexplained bruise or muscle strain or something like that. Those are short-term situations, but to have that happening constantly, it just puts your body in that high alert system all the time. It's going to tire your body out. It's going to have it attack other parts of your body where it doesn't need to be. There are things that you can do to test whether your body is inflamed or not. I mean, usually you can tell because a person is aching or just doesn't feel right, don't have the energy. But there is a blood test that can be done if you're wondering about it. It's called CRP. It is a protein produced by the liver. It's C-reactive protein, and it rises when there's inflammation in the body. So that's one thing you could do if you wanted to check it out. Also, things like food sensitivities, you could have tests for that, because a lot of times food sensitivities can cause inflammation, but I will say they can be very inaccurate, because if your body is already in a state of inflammation, it's going to overreact to foods it normally would not react to. It's going to overreact to things it normally would not. And I personally have had that happen. And so until you get the inflammation under control, it's going to be hard to find what your true food sensitivities are. But it will give you kind of a baseline to start with, to kind of start with that so that you can know where to go. But basically trying to eliminate, foods that are considered inflammatory foods is a good place to start, because the food sensitivities test might show up things that you might would never think of. So it might be a place to start, but and give you a baseline. But honestly, I would start personally, my own experience, I would just start with foods that are inflammatory. I've had food sensitivities tests done, and at one point there was like over 30 some foods that I was sensitive to. I mean, anything I ate, I would react to. So, and I've heard from others say the same thing. And it's all about that inflammation. You got to get that inflammation under control, and you can't just eliminate, you have to be healing at the same time. So it is true, we do want some inflammation for our bodies. It's good for our bodies. We don't want it on a chronic level. So have a good rest of the day, everybody, and go be awesome.